They touch me, it's consequences that come with that.
I call you next. Hey, Leak, they try to steal our shit.
I feel like a lot of people took away the negative from that.
That people out here lying is trademark, and I own the trademarks, and it's public record.
Like, ain't nobody gotta lie about.
Bro, pull up with 20 niggas with ski masks.
Like, super hating. Like,
Ain't nobody trying to hear you, not no street nigga.
But she ain't never paid for not one of my
I'm not finna die for this shit.
I'm trying to get out.
They died the first thing they say is,
For this shit.
man, he had potential to
I ain't never
grow up.
touched none of y'all. I ain't never did. I don't owe y'all niggas shit. I don't owe y'all niggas shit.
She said, I killed a boy, I'm going to prison.
You can out-internet me, but you can't out-business me and out-grind me.
We are back with another episode of Address It, Your Vote, Our Future edition. We're bringing voter awareness. We want to inform voters. We want to get y'all out to the polls November 7th. I have the honor of sitting with our current city council member in Ward 4, LaTrisha Vetaw. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming. You know, I worked on that. I worked on the last name. You know, to make sure I got it right.
To make sure you got it right, Vetaw.
To make sure I got it right. How are you though? How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, it's busy time. Running for re-election and working as a city council member. And, you know, trying to maintain my household too. So super busy.
Yeah, yeah. You know, we try to reach the young adults demographics. A lot of it's informative stuff. One thing I like to ask first is, what is the role of the city council member? You know, what can we blame you guys for?
I think the question is, what don't people blame us for? Sometimes I hear things and I'm like, what? I didn't know I had any say in that. But I would say, you know, the city council, the main job is to be the legislative body over the city. Our job is to make sure that our constituents have a good functioning city. That means livability issues like potholes, snow removal, trash pickup, and then it also has a public safety element to it, a public health element to it. There are many things that are governed by the city, but the council creates legislative policies that govern the city. And then the biggest role of the city council is overseeing the almost $2 billion budget that the city of Minneapolis has.
Yeah. So you're running for re-election. So how long have you been in office?
This is my first term, and I got in a unique year where it was a 2-year cycle. And so I've been on the council now for almost 2 years, but I served as an at-large commissioner elected to the Minneapolis Park Board for 4 years.
Okay. I guess in your 2 years, well, this year, you know, you're running for re-election. What are the biggest issues you're concerned about? So
the biggest issue I'm concerned about and what I hear most about in my ward is public safety. Okay. I represent Ward 4, which is the most northern part of the city. And what's been really hard for me is getting people to understand that my side and north side exist. Most people see Broadway in that kind of the surrounding areas as North Minneapolis. And those of us, LOWRY and north of LOWRY, sometimes get left out of, you know, like funds and different things that come through the city. So I've really been trying to just listen to my ward and hear what they want. And again, what I've heard is public safety. You know, they want good policing. They want some type of traffic control measures. There's been a lot of complaints about that. And again, the livability stuff.
Yeah. So what is your thoughts with the police and the Minneapolis Police Department?
I would say, you know, we understand we have work to do. I think the council understands we have work to do. But something I've been trying to understand better and really get behind is those alternatives to policing that we can use. So do we want Minneapolis police to go out for every single call? No. But I also think, you know, knowing that we need police, we have to build up a strong police force, and we have to make sure that, you know, that's partially people who come from the community.
So, I mean, what ways do you envision doing that, building a stronger police force, recruitment?
Recruitment is something I'm trying to learn from people who've done it, right? Like, my idea of recruitment would be to get people who traditionally wouldn't be police officers to become interested in the profession, like our counselors and social workers. I worked at North Point for 17 years before I worked at, before I got on the city council. And somebody like me who worked in public health may be interested in policing. So I think that's a part of recruitment, and all those things come with money. Right now, we're number 10 in pay for policing in Minneapolis, and we're gonna have to be closer to number 1 for pay if we're gonna recruit officers. The other thing is, you know, in certain communities, it's looked down upon to be a police officer. Yeah. It's not seen as a good profession. So as me, someone who's worked with young people over 20 years and taught them the importance of policy systems and environmental change, I really wanna work with them. I really wanna figure out how we can work together to get young people interested in public safety careers again. Because when I was in school, it was I'm 47. When I was in school, it was like a proud thing if you want, like all the boys in class, when you said, what do you want to be when you grow up? They all said policeman.
Most women don't say their age. I was surprised you said that. That was
I'm proud.
That's the transparency of our council member, right?
I'm proud, that's right.
Okay. How effective have you seen, you know, like the violence interrupter groups, or have they been effective? What's your thoughts on their impact in the community? So
I will say that I've had some concerns, in particular in my ward. This last cycle, we voted on contracts to extend the violence interrupters contracts. I voted on all the contracts except the one that represented Ward 4. So we all have like a group in the wards that represent us. In my particular group, I voted against the extension because I've gotten a lot of complaints from Ward 4 residents about them kind of congregating in one area and like crime moving from a visible spot to behind the house or those type of things. So I wanted to sit down with leadership who oversees those groups and try to figure out how we could come up with some type of plan to better address, you know, like the needs of the community. The thing that I struggle with the most with violence interrupter groups is I feel like it's designed to be one way, and every neighborhood and every ward for that matter needs different violence interruption.
Yeah. So I mean, is there ones that you're that are better than others, you feel like, or is it like
I don't know if they're better than others. I just feel like, you know, I have a certain need for my community. You know, Ward 4 has a couple areas that could really use violence interrupters, but they need like the resources more than anything. So like the best way I could explain it is I think the opportunity for violence interrupters to have, say, like a office in the ward would fit better for people to come in and get resources. And, you know, maybe a couple on 36 and Penn, maybe a couple on LOWRY and Morgan, but not like, I've only always seen them in one spot together. And that's the only complaint, not the only complaint, that's the biggest complaint I get from people. But I think it's a good way to interrupt things. But I also think like we have to model it for the needs of the community, because like my ward has a lot of addiction on LOWRY and Penn. Those people don't need to be arrested. Most of those people are struggling with addiction issues. And it's one of the reasons why I worked with Turning Point this year to secure $1.5 million, because we need them up and running so we can get some of that addiction we see on Broadway and LOWRY off the corner and get them some help.
Yeah, for sure. Addiction is definitely a huge.
It's a big part of the public safety issues we see on the street. And it's a public health issue as well.
I seen that you had referred to, you said that you're running a serious campaign.
Correct.
Serious election. What did you, I mean, I know what that means, but why did you feel the need to say that?
I felt the need to say that because the North Side has always felt like they've gotten the short end of the stick, right? Like, and now is not the time to have people who see like the work and say, I can do that. They need somebody. We need strong leaders on the North Side. We need people who are going to stand up. I mean, what people don't remember lots of times is there's 2 North Side council members and there's 10 Southside council members who want something for their ward too. And so we have to stand together. You got to have leaders on the North Side who can work together, who have the ability to work with other elected officials. You know, you can't work at City Hall in a silo. This term I've worked with Senator Champion, Representative Fu Lee, I've worked with Amy Klobuchar, I've worked with A.G. Ellison. You have to be open to working with everyone if you're gonna get, if you're gonna fill the needs of Northsiders. Yeah. So that's what I mean by serious.
Yeah. If you had to say your past tenure, what things that you have got done, got accomplished, got on the ground running, what would you say?
I would say the first thing is economic development. You know, I've had the opportunity to work with several business owners of color on the North Side who have developed housing, taken a bar and restaurant that basically people want shut down and turned around, bought old buildings and are rehabbing them. So economic development is a big thing. Also, we've been working on bringing opportunities for housing to the ward. I've met with lots of developers who are interested, and hopefully we'll kick off some new projects. When I first started on the council, I had a group of young people come to me and they said, we want better lighting on the North Side. Mm-hmm. When we go to school in the morning in the winter, it's dark. When we come home, it's even darker. So we need better lighting. So I kicked off an initiative called Get Lit Minneapolis and got huge investments on the North Side and throughout the whole city to get the street lights fixed.
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people, again, I want to inform people, but it's 13 city council members, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And a lot of times people think that you can pull the trigger on stuff, but
yeah.
Can you just talk about how that works?
It doesn't work like that. You can have lots of ideas as a council member, but you need 7 votes for the most part. Some things you need 9 votes. So it's about relationship building. It's about people trusting that you're doing the work that your constituents want, because if it's not what they want, then you all get backlash. Even if I go to my colleagues and say, I want us to work on this, if I said, let's work on lighting, some of the council members were concerned that their constituency didn't want more lighting. They thought it was too light outside, right? Like with the street lights. And so you work together on those things, but you don't do anything alone on the city council. The idea that you get there and you make any decision alone it's not true. You need partnership. You have to work with people. You have to build a coalition. You have to work with the mayor, regardless of how you feel about people. You have to put that aside and work for your ward.
Would you say it's like any one thing that you've learned that you didn't know? Like, a lot of times we wish we knew now what we knew then, or we wish we knew what we knew now then.
Yeah.
One of those things that you would say.
I wouldn't say it's one thing. So for me, I was on the park board before I got elected to the council. So I learned a good lesson in governance on the park board. I've seen some of my colleagues on the council learn that lesson in real time, but I learned mine like 6 years ago on the park board. But some of the things you learn is that, you aren't doing it alone. You can have the biggest idea in the world, and it takes time to see that come to life. Like you want the best of the best. Like, I'll give you an example. I want a sub police station in Ward 4, because our closest police station is on Plymouth Avenue. That's really far away if you live in Camden or Lynn Bohannon, right? Like if you live on 53rd or if you live on Dowland, that's pretty far away. And so I've always talked about having a substation.
Is that one on 40? Is that 42nd?
That's a training center.
Oh, okay.
That's a police training center. Okay. But see, I've always thought, like, why can't we have police come out of that and take calls and those type of things? And I got down there thinking, we can do this because these police cars over here, they're all over here. We can just make it happen. It's not going to happen in this first term. It was something I would have loved to happen, and it's going to take years. So a lot of times you have to allow yourself to be disappointed that you can't get things done as fast as you would like them to be done. So that's probably what I would tell myself is, give yourself a break because things don't happen as fast as you really want them to.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about public safety, but what are some other issues that's at the forefront of your brain?
Economic development. The ward wants to have more restaurants to sit down and eat at, grocery stores. We lost Aldi. It was technically in Ward 5, but of course Ward 4 residents went there too. So we need more opportunities for folks on the north side to be able to get the essentials in their neighborhoods.
You talk about the food desert. A lot of people would say that they're informed about things too late in the process, or when there's not much that can be done. What's your thoughts about that, and how do people be more informed at the beginning of processes, so you don't wake up and all this is gone.
I would say it's different for a corporation because they can just wake up and go if they want to, right? Like I found out about Aldi closing because I went there to go get something and the woman at the register told me it was closing. And so then I reached out to the building owner who then put me in contact with Aldi Corporate. But by then it was too late. And I'm pretty sure it was designed that way by that corporation. Now, if there's a mom and pop store in the neighborhood, people who live there, you hear a little bit more about it from them directly, right? Like if they're in need of some help, folks will come. Like we have businesses in the ward right now who have reached out and said, we need some help. And I'm able to put them in touch with City of Minneapolis employees that can help out, before things go bad. But a corporation like Aldi, you really don't know. They can decide how they want to do it.
I mean, when I drive around, I see a lot of like vacant lots, businesses, stuff for sale, that sort of stuff. My thoughts are, is there anything that makes like priority buyers, purchase for Northsiders or anything like that?
So every vacant lot or like a city-owned building or whatever, like a lot of things people think are city-owned, but some of it can be county or privately owned, right? Like those big vacant lots in my ward on the corner of Plymouth and Penn, those are all county-owned vacant lots. And so the county has to put out, to get proposals for who they want or what they want developed on those properties, and the same for the city. We have to put out requests for proposals, and then people send in proposals and we select them. There's vacant lots. I've had the most meetings I've had have been with developers, people who want to develop on the north side and have their eye on a lot or a city-owned business. And so it takes some time. You got to get patient people, but it takes some time. And that can all happen eventually.
I know I've been hearing a lot about the Harbor Terminal.
Upper Harbor Terminal.
Harbor Terminal project. Can you tell us a little bit of what that's about?
Yeah, so the Upper Harbor Terminal is going to be the first riverfront project on the north side. So it's on the other side of the freeway, right off the river. There's going to be about a 18-acre park. The park board owns that part of it. And then the city has proposed to do an amphitheater, so like a concert kind of thing, not as big as the Target Center or anything like that, but a concert arena. And then Devin George is doing housing development, townhouses and multi-housing units on the site. And then there'll be, of course, some commercial property.
Yeah. So the concern, I know some people have shared, is just that it wouldn't benefit the community. Like housing too high, and stuff like that.
Well, it's going to be deeply affordable housing over there. And I mean, like right now, there's nothing there. So if we get deeply affordable housing, I say that's a benefit to the community right away. There's going to be jobs. You can't build something that big without having jobs available, right? And so there's that. Those are the two opportunities. I've been keeping a close eye on it. Even before I got elected to the council, I kept a close eye on it because I live in the neighborhood. And I've always seen an opportunity for the McKinley neighborhood to, get some funds. They put a contract in place where the ticket sales, a very small percentage of the ticket sales are given to the McKinley neighborhood because it's the adjacent neighborhood to the site, to the Upper Harbor Terminal. There's also opportunity for small business with the commercial space, and there's the opportunity for us to actually get on the river. The South Side has that. We don't have that on the North Side, so I'm looking forward to that.
And that would be where about?
So, on Dowling, when you get off Dowling, there used to be like these big grain elevators and big domes right off of Dowling and the river. Like if you just get off, like say you're coming down 94 and you get off and you go over, not like into the neighborhood.
Second and all of that?
Yeah.
Or is that
Yep.
Okay.
Over there. And so it starts at Dowling and it pretty much comes down to like, I don't know the exact streets, but like you'll be able to access it from off of 33rd if you went back, where it's industrial at, back behind Burger King back there.
Yeah. Okay. When I second, I get to. Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
And if you go over there now, you'll see they're cleaning it up.
Yeah. So I put up, I say, man, I'm honored to have LaTrisha come sit down with me. Any questions? One of the questions was about felons and felons' rights and housing.
Yes.
Is there any plans around that? I'm talking about a person that's a felon and rehabilitated and doing well or trying to do well,
You know what, Malik? Some of my greatest work on this council has been working with the Attorney General on expungement. When I first got in office, it was a big deal to me to work with him directly on getting North Side residents expunged, having them have access to expungement clinics. And we hosted 2. And the final numbers I got were about 55 people who actually got their records expunged. And what that meant for me was housing opportunities, job opportunities, right? We know a lot of people have really old records or people who are trying to get their life on track. Those records stop them from getting adequate housing, and that's not okay. My role as a council member is to look out for everyone in the ward, the people who are felons or the people who are not. Right? Like, I want to keep an eye on folks who need a second chance closely. I want to make sure they have what they need in the neighborhood to be successful. That's only a detriment to our community if that person goes back into prison.
Yeah, because if you feel no hope, you know how those people act,
Yeah, and you need to feel a sense of belonging. I have family members who have been to jail and have records and I had a record myself, I didn't have felonies, but I had a record for traffic stuff. And so, you know how it feels to feel isolated.
That don't count for felons.
I know. But I know how but driving stuff can stop you from getting a job too. Yeah.
Driving jobs.
No, any job. Some jobs look at your driving record.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They can stop you. That can stop you from getting a job. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, with the expungement though, is that just for like I wouldn't say petty crimes, but like
No. It could be for felonies too. It's a certain kind though. Like it's not everything covered, but the Attorney General has the ability to sign off on expungements. And that was the clinic would always be someone from his office, so we can find out the process that folks need to go through. Some people, the expungement process doesn't work they have to go through I can't think of the name of it, but there's another way that they can go and the record gets cleared by the Attorney General also. Oh gosh, what is it?
Do you have so you say only certain, so it's like the more serious crimes are not expungible?
That's not true.
I was asking.
No. It's it's really like the attorneys sit down and look at them and tell us how it goes, right? And it's about timing too. So somebody who just got off paper may not be eligible for it, right? But I had a grandmother who was a felon in the 70s who still had a record, who couldn't get her grandkids out of a foster home because of the record. And we got her record expunged and she was able to get her grandkids. We had a guy who owned a construction business in the ward who dealt with addiction and had a lot of thefts, different level thefts on his record. and he couldn't get contracts for certain businesses because when they would run a background check on them, of course they don't want, someone who has these convictions, or not of course, but some of them don't want someone with these convictions on their property, and he was able to get his expunged, and then was able to get different contracts. And I will say expungements are for everyone. We saw senior citizens, we saw Black, white, Asian, we saw people from every single background and age at those expungement clinics.
No, for sure. I know that's felons. That's definitely, felons feel like, even if it's felon housing, it's the bad housing, or it's the housing that's nobody wants to necessarily live in, and then the good stuff you can't get in, or you got to live with a girl, under her, and it just puts you in a cycle of possibly chaos,
Chaos, doing the same things all over again, huh? Yeah, housing is definitely a big part of, it's the foundation.
Yeah. I know home ownership as well as rent stabilization was a big issue or big controversies around it. What's your position on that sort of stuff?
So my position is that housing is a human right. Everyone should have stable housing. I don't support rent control the way that it came to the council. So last cycle, the ballot had a question about the city exploring rent control as an option. We got a presentation before us as the council. What they presented to us was not going in the right direction for our city. Right now, we're building affordable housing at larger rates than most people. The rents in Minneapolis usually only go up 1% a year. Average is like 1.2 or something like that. So this rent control policy was going to cap it at 3% every year, which we know if a landlord, if this type of policy is enacted, they're going to go up every year. They're going to go up 3%. It won't be that 1% anymore.
So is that what rent control is?
Yes.
You put it at a cap, and the land owner can.
You can't go past that cap, right? So like say your rent is $1,000. Next year, they can't go past 3% of the $1,000. But what landlords typically do is when you move out, they raise the rents. They can do it to a new person. So it really only benefits the person who lives in the house now. Yeah. So as soon as you move, the landlord could give the new person a different rate. It's just the next year they can't go up more than 3%. So your apartment for $1,000 could become $1,500 for the next person.
And you said that's the direction that you were.
I was not going in, not at all.
And why not?
Because that doesn't create more affordable housing. It's actually, rent control has never worked anywhere. That's the first thing. Like other cities who have it, like New York City has a rent control policy that was enacted in the 70s. Most of those people never leave their rent control apartments. And so you find the people with the less income, like in New York, for instance, a lot of the people with lower incomes live in public housing because rent control is a policy where people stay where they live.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I never really understood what rent control meant. I thought it was, kind of like that, but I thought it was just like keeping it at a certain number. You can't grandfather it in, basically. Like.
Oh, no. So what it is so the way the policy would be here is you can only go up 3% every year. That's it. But in 10 years, that would be 30%. So somebody who would in 10 years probably only have like 10% is now up 30%.
So what are you proposing though for the?
I think we need more deeply affordable housing. I think one of the things I want to explore is universal income. That's a program that supplements a part of the money for a family, for rent. I want to support programs like we have in the city right now, the Stable Home, Stable Schools program. That's a program where there's help with the rent and other needs in the household so kids can stay in the same school district from K through 12. And so there's housing and, we watch the family. I think we need more opportunities for Section 8 and housing subsidy programs. We're never going to run out of people who need help with rent. But I think we really got to work with all partners, federal government, state, and local government to help. The county has a huge budget for housing. And so we got to work, everyone's got to work together for housing.
So I was able to interview Angela, running for, she's also running for Ward 4.
Yes.
Currently. And she mentioned, I just want to know your perspective from what she mentioned. I know it's two sides, every story, so without her just being able to say her side, I want to know, she mentioned that in the KMOJ show, whatever, this KMOJ interview, that she felt attacked by your words.
I'm not sure.
She said she felt attacked by, she just felt attacked by, it was an interaction and she felt attacked by the councilman who holds that seat. What do you say you're not, you know what I said?
I don't want to dismiss her feelings, but.
Yeah. Okay. No, but what I was gonna say is the streets. It looks like every time we look up, it's construction being done. Bike lanes look like they're getting a little bigger.
No. More frequent, maybe. There's more of them.
So what's this going on with the streets?
Well, we live in a cold city, so there's only so much time we have to fix the streets, and that's summer. And, fall, spring, hopefully in spring. And so we try to get as many projects as we can in the months where we're able to do it. I know it's super frustrating for people. It's really frustrating for me. And then in Ward 4, we have the train that crosses. We've been working on that. That's been a big part of the work we've done this year, too. Also is working with Amy Klobuchar's office, working with MnDOT, working with Senator Champion on doing a study on the train at Humboldt and at Lindale so we can see where it would best be to maybe have a bridge or underpass or something like that. We got to figure that out first before we do anything. But it's frustrating to have all the construction projects, but I think we love it when it's finally finished and we have smooth, safe streets.
Yeah. Another thing, I'm just thinking about some of the questions that people propose, snow removal.
Yes.
We're the last to get our snow removed.
That's not true.
Well, I mean, that's some of the commentary about it. We're the last ones. It seems like we're the last ones. It seems like ours is the messiest.
No. When you're down at City Hall, you realize everyone feels that way. Like on the days where we have heavy snow and you come into the council offices, you see everyone is getting calls and emails about the snow removal. What I will say is we have to do better, right? But that's where I come in as the council member. Call me and report it to me so I can make it better. I have no ability to drive around all the ward, see every single street. So you should report that stuff to 311. So what the city does is we have the plows, the big city plows that come through, but we also contract with local businesses for the alleys and, some streets. And so if it's not adequate, you need to call 311 or your council member or email or whatever form you use to contact us so we can get it fixed. Because it should be good. And the same with potholes. The seasons change. In the winter months, all your calls and emails on Monday when you come in is about snow. In the spring, it's about potholes. Spring and summer, it's about potholes.
I think you may have touched on it a little bit, but how does the common person stay informed, though? Like, what do they need to do to be informed?
You mean like in local government?
Yeah, just local and just like the changes within their communities.
I think there's different ways to do it. I would say the most impactful way is to be connected to your neighbors. We all have neighbors who stay in the know of local government. They know what's going on everywhere. They watch the local news. They watch the national news. I think most of us have social media outlets that we report things out on. We send out newsletters via email and in the mail. So I think it's different ways to do it. For students, it's in school. I think it's different ways. But and the good thing is you get to pick how connected you want to be.
And as far as the food desert issue, is there any ideas to?
Yeah, Jeremiah and Councilmember Ellison and I have been exploring some different ideas around the grocery store. You know, him and I have talked about a city-owned grocery store. Chicago has that model. We've talked about that. I've talked to the owners where Aldi is about, you know, helping with bringing another grocery store back there and maybe having some conversations with Aldi in the future about bringing something to Ward 4 if that location didn't work out for them anymore because it was a spacing issue, right? And so maybe we do have somewhere else on the north side that we can bring it. But, you know, the good thing is Councilmember Ellison and I have been talking about like how we bring grocery stores back to the north side. When I was a kid, we had 4 grocery stores on the north side.
And you are born and raised here?
No, I moved here when I was 11.
Okay. From where?
Chicago.
Chicago?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so they so you basically do you consider yourself Minnesota? From Minnesota? Or you still say from Chicago?
I mean, I've adopted Minnesotan ways, but you can never say you're not where you're from, you know?
I don't know. It's sometimes they say it's how long you've been here, how early you came. You know, just for my generation, a lot of people try to claim somewhere they ain't been.
I have nieces and nephews around your age. I'm like, no, you're from here.
No, for sure. Single dad rights was also something the community brought up as question to ask you, something to put on your radar. Is there anything around?
I mean, however I could be supportive, I want to. That wouldn't be a city issue. You know, that would be something in the courts. But if there was something I could do at the city council to help, you know, with advocacy or whatever, I'd be happy to.
Okay. You know, I just feel like they need somebody to help advocate for them.
Yeah, I'm happy to advocate. I'm absolutely you know, I think, so I was raised by my 3 uncles. They played a huge role in my life, and I stayed with them every summer. I wouldn't trade anything for the world. So I know how important it is to have, you know, loving, caring men in your life. So if there was anything I could do to support fathers, I'd be happy to.
Appreciate that. My little one just turned 5. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just what's something that we need to know about you? What's something that the world needs to know? You know, share something with us.
I mean, I love being a city council member. It's truly the job that fits me. You know, I've always worked really hard on the north side for us to get what we feel we deserve, what we know we deserve, and this job has been the most rewarding in that way. Like I worked in public health at North Point for 17 years, and that was good, that felt good. But then to transition to where you have the ability to change, I like to call policy work the big P, right? Programs to me are like the little P, because programs shift. One year it's all about health and wellness, the next year it's about the environment, you know, and so policy change is there. It's the big P. It stays until somebody else comes along and changes it. And so it's been rewarding to do the work of policy change in the community.
And with you guys, as far as policies, do y'all sign them or?
No, it's not a signature. We vote on them.
Vote on
the
them?
mayor signs whatever the council does. So the council takes action. We vote on it. If it gets a majority vote, it goes over to the mayor for a signature.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, any closing remarks? You know, so where we can find you?
Yes. I have
so we can get in your business and hold you accountable.
Everybody's in my business, and I'm available. I'm the Ward 4 council member. I hope to be the Ward 4 council member after Election Day, November 2nd. You know, I really want to earn folks' support for this upcoming election. I've started doing some great work. I want to continue to do the work. I have a ward office at 4205 Weber Parkway. You know, I'm available on my personal cell. I'm actually the council member that people stop by my house when I'm out gardening and just talk to me about different things they want to see happen or don't want to see happening in the ward. And you know, I like that. My husband doesn't like it so much, but I like it.
How long have you lived Northside?
Well, off and on for 30 years. Yeah, but I moved when I moved here. I lived on 18th and Irvin, right by the football field. At the time, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken. We used to live behind there.
Yeah.
And so kind of just off and on. I've lived in the suburbs before, different things.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming. Like I said, we push to the young adults. We trying to, get them aware of stuff. Get them out to the polls. With an informed vote. So
That's awesome.
I appreciate that you came out, and I'm trying to get a little bit of everybody, learn everybody's platform, and just, again, make an informed vote.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
We let represent us. We need a face that's familiar, not one that's never with us.
I think the law enforcement have to be mindful that they're not accidentally killing and hitting pedestrians when they're pursuing somebody else, right? That doesn't create safety. And so I think the point is that we've got to make everything safer, right? That person who's speeding and who's fleeing from the police, sure, they're at fault, right? But we have a responsibility as public officials, as police officers, as firefighters, to not harm the public while we're trying to do our jobs, right?
Is there no chase policy, or?
The no chase policy is something that the chief would really have to discuss in detail. But here's what I know about the no chase policy is that, it used to be that you could just be pursuing people all the time. Now there's certain limitations so that we can have less pursuits because so many people were getting hit during these pursuits. And it's much easier just to get the license plate, let that person go, ID them, let them go. If they're no longer being chased, 9 times out of 10, they are going to eventually slow down when they realize they're not being chased. And if we have their identity and we have their license plate, we can get that person later, and it's safer to the community, it's safer to all that kind of stuff.
If they touch me, it's consequences that come with that.
I call you next. Hey, Lee, they trying to steal our
I
shit.
feel like a lot of people took away the negative from that.
That people out here lying is trademark, and I own the trademarks, and it's public record.
Like, ain't nobody got to lie about.
Bro, pull up with 20 niggas with ski masks.
Like super hating. Like
Ain't nobody trying to hear you, not no street nigga.
But
she ain't never paid for not one of my
I'm not finna die for this shit.
They died the first thing they say is,
For this shit.
man, he had potential
I
to
ain't never
grow up.
touched none of y'all. I ain't never did. I don't owe y'all niggas shit. I don't owe y'all niggas shit.
She said, I killed a boy, I'm going to prison.
You can out-internet me, but you can't out-business me and out-grind me.